And in more uncertainty signals, Germany's Green Party rejected the massive spending deal put forward by the Conservatives and Social Democrats. That could leave hundreds of billions for defense and infrastructure spending in doubt. Joining us with more is DW's Chiponda Chimbelu from Berlin. How do you do, Chiponda? Just tell us what does this mean for that massive spending plan?
Thanks for having me. Well, it essentially means that the Conservatives, that is the CDU and the CSU, and the Social Democrats, the SPD, will need to convince the Green Party to back their spending plan. Now, the package was supposed to free up 900 billion euros, and just over half was for infrastructure, and the rest is meant for defense. Now, that was, of course, a direct response to the US's shift from supporting Ukraine with military aid. To free up the money, Germany needs to loosen its debt brake rules, which limit government borrowing to 0.35% of GDP. That means the spending plan needs at least a two-thirds majority in the Bundestag, the parliament. And the two parties that are most likely to form Germany's next government will need to have the Greens on board if they want to reform Germany's government borrowing rules. But on Monday, the leaders of the Green Party group in the Bundestag said that they would ask their parliamentarians to vote against the spending plan.
So, Chipandu, can we expect something to be worked out later on?
Green Party politicians have been warning that the massive spending plan doesn't do enough to address climate change and that it might be used to finance tax cuts. So they have come up with a counter proposal. They want to see a higher amount of debt exempted from the government's borrowing rules when it comes to defense, for which the party also wants a broader definition. For the Greens, defense spending shouldn't just go to the army, but also intelligence activities and foreign aid in some situations. Now, the Conservatives and the Social Democrats said they were ready to negotiate with the Greens, so there is still some hope the spending plan will go through in the Bundestag in the coming days. But that is just the first hurdle.
Right, and what else in terms of challenges lies ahead?
If the plan is approved by the Bundestag, it will be sent to the second legislative chamber, and that is the Bundesrat. And there, it will also need a two-thirds majority. Now, the Bundesrat has representatives from Germany's 16 federal state governments. And because of its makeup, the plan will also need the support of the Left Party and the populist far-left BSW. And it is extremely unlikely the two parties will support defense spending. And there's also something else to consider. The vote on the plan could also be contested in the courts. That's because Friedrich Merz, who is most likely to be Germany's next chancellor, is rushing it through the old Bundestag to get it to pass before the Bundestag, the new Bundestag, which actually has a very different makeup, convenes for the first time towards the end of the month. So all eyes will be on Germany, because whether this moves forward or not has wider implications for the EU. It affects how much Europe's biggest economy can spend on supporting Ukraine and beefing up the German military.
Yes, pretty critical. Well, thanks for joining us with that update, Chiponda Chimbelu from Berlin.